Well,
You're good.
absolutely. I'd like to clarify a couple of things. My opponent basically makes the arguments that, well, if you've got somebody that comes in and your husband is beating the ever loving stuffing out of you, and you come in and say, I want to dismiss this case. We don't dismiss those cases. We don't do that. Okay. We go ahead and we prosecute those anyway. We look at the individual's history, look at the individual. We look at the individual that's coming in. We make sure that we separate that individual from the offender to ask them specifically, do you really want to do this? And if they say no, which they normally do, then we don't dismiss those cases. That's ridiculous. To basically also make the allegation that somebody comes into your house, as he pointed to you, and said he shoots you and he robs you, and then you come in and say, I want to dismiss this. I can tell you that's never happened. Okay, that has never happened. When we're talking about dismissing cases that involve a victim, all right, and I'm sorry, we'll never agree on this. He's right. The state of Texas is our client. Everybody in here is, a victim for the state of Texas. But something happens to you is going to be different than something happens to you. I'm not going to sit there and tell you, you know what, tough. I don't care what you want, because I'm going to make sure that even though you want to give this guy probation, or even though you want to take this to trial, I'm going to work it out and I'm going to do what I want to do because I'm the district attorney. To heck with you, because I'm looking out for these other people. That's a joke. Okay? Because you're going to be irate. My opponent says I'm going to give the victims a voice. You know what that voice is going to be? An angry voice. Because I want to make sure that if you're the victim, that I'm doing what you want. Right? If we're talking about time, if we're talking about situations where an individual is getting harmed, they aren't coming in and telling us, hey, I want to dismiss this case. So he's got some numbers here, and he may jump up in a second and go, well, they've dismissed, because he gets the last word the way we're doing this. Well, they've dismissed 33% of their capital murder cases. No, we haven't. I don't know where that number comes from, but I don't know of any capital murder case that we dismissed. I know that we pled capital murders, and when we pled them to other charges sometimes. And every time we've ever done that, guess who made the decision that we were going to do that? You think it was me? Or you think it was the victim's family? It's the victim's family. He wants to say, well, that Martin Knowles case, he only got 5 years. Guess when that happened? That happened during the trial, after speaking to the victims' families, and the victims going, this is what we want to do. So the victims were standing right there beside us when we did that plea. They weren't ambushed. They weren't surprised by it. They got what they wanted and they were happy. You know what they also got? Closure. And they were happy with that. In fact, it's on the Marshall News Messenger when they reported on the next day, because one of their other family members from a long way away was like, oh, that's unbelievable. They only got 5 years. They were like, you don't understand. We were happy with that. We wanted that. Okay, so to go and say, well, I want to talk about specific cases without, one, giving me an opportunity to respond. If he gets up and he jumps up and says a bunch of numbers and a bunch of crazy cases, come talk to me after. Because I guarantee every time you ever see any type of case, especially a newsworthy case, okay, if it makes the news, if it's something that he's able to pull up and look at, then you're going to guarantee the victims were on board with that. Every time. They dismissed 53% of their sexual assaults. Because they just want to say that number. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Every time we dismiss one of those things, it's because we pled them to something else with the victim's consent. Do you want to get up and talk about something horrible that happened to you in front of 12 individuals that you've never seen before, and you're the only reason that this person's being charged? Sometimes the victims go, I'm really nervous that this guy may get away with this. Well, what do you want us to do? I want you to work something out. Okay, we'll do that. Sometimes when you work something out, it includes another charge. We don't just dismiss cases without the victims knowing about it. We don't just plead to people to something without the victims knowing about it. If there's a victim in this crime, the victim is on board. And you want to tell you how I can prove that, or you know that? Because every time we dismiss or we work on a big case, in fact, not even dismissing a case, every time we plead a case, the judge asks us, is the victim on board? And we have to tell the judge yes. Because if we don't tell the judge yes, guess what the judge is not going to do? Take that plea. Anytime there's a violent crime that involves individuals, those victims get a right to do a victim's impact statement. They're standing right there with us. They get up and look at the defendant who's sitting at a table over here and explain to them exactly what they did to them and how it affected their lives. Cop mentality says, I'm going to do what I want. The private citizen says, I'm going to do what you want. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to do what you want. Because that's what we're here for. And it must work. Because we've got the lowest murder rate in 30 years. Violent crime has been on the decrease for the past 7. He wants to go, you didn't want to talk about, I didn't give you specific instances of violence that happened in Gregg County. Okay, the Longview News Journal basically did a big article about how they were so excited that in the city limits of Longview, they only had 10 murders last year. Only 10 murders last year. Ladies and gentlemen, Marshall had 0 last year. That's something to be proud of. Harrison County had 1. We don't have any idea how many Gregg County had because the article wasn't about Gregg County. It was about Longview. Specific instances, family walked out of a restaurant last week and got gunned down in Longview. They seem like pretty specific instances. Because I can't tell you every time some gangbanger or somebody murders somebody over in Shreveport, it didn't happen. Okay, go home and turn the TV on tonight. You'll see something. So, when I get down, okay, because I'm going to be done, he's going to get the last word. When he says a bunch of stuff that makes you go, huh? Because he's going to, because I'm not going to be able to respond. Guess what? I can respond. All you got to do is just come ask me. Right? When it comes to trial experience, when you're going to talk about, I've terminated 75 kids. I probably did that when I was a private attorney. Probably did it 20 or 30 times I was involved in CPS cases. Termination hearing is a group of people, probably about 7 or 8 people standing in front of the judge asking one person to witness. When we're talking about trying cases, we're talking about preparing evidence, preparing victims, presenting it to a jury, 12 individuals, and having to meet all the rules of evidence, and not just having a judge decide it, because it's easy to do in front of a judge, but to convince 12 individuals that somebody has committed a crime. I've done that 50 plus times. You want to talk about things in front of a judge? Probably 1,000. Been doing this for 14 years. I've done a lot of stuff in front of people. I'm a very active in the courtroom district attorney because you have to be in Harrison County. You've got to have the experience. If he says, I'm telling you, it's ironic. You said you didn't have to have experience last time. That is a joke, folks. I absolutely didn't say that because it would have been laughed at. And my campaign was serious last time, as it is this time. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. Got a little fired up. Sorry about that. But I'm glad I got an opportunity to respond. If he gets fired up, he's a good speaker. He did a good job the other day when he got all fired up. I want to encourage you not to give his phone number out this time. But I appreciate everybody's time and attention. If you have any questions after this, especially after he gets up and speaks, if y'all want to know any questions, you can either catch me right after, or my office is in the courthouse and on the 2nd floor. Please come by. I will definitely sit down and speak with you. Again, my name is Coach Solomon. I am your district attorney, have been for the past 7 years. I look forward to trying to do it for an additional 4 years after this term is over, and I'm asking for your vote and support. Thank you very much.